This podcast does contain spoilers, so if you're okay with that, listen on. If not, pause the podcast, go watch the movie we're about to talk about, and come on back.
All right, sweet.
Excuse me.
Brandon, over here. Hey.
Pardon me.
Why don't you have the popcorn? It's starting!
Woo! Hey.
Shut up. Shut up and listen to the podcast. Hey!
There's a lot out there to see. This is what we watched.
All right, welcome back. Geoff, Brandon.
Matt. Jeff.
Sir, Brandon.
Everybody
Fuck
wave.
you. I don't get sir.
Everybody, everybody wave.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
wave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt was actually
We
waving.
can
I
actually
know,
say
this
that we all
is a
waved.
very few times. No, I waved one more time when I gave him shit about it.
Missed it.
And then we restarted and I waved, even though he didn't. It was very funny. But nobody
I think there was one time that you did a
that why
wave
it
at
actually
me.
started?
I
'Cause
think
you
very
just-
early on
you
it
have
was
fond
a
memories
hello.
of that one time.
Yes. And it was
Remember when he waved at me?
and it was an inside joke that I tried to create. And I mean, technically, it's still around.
Yeah, it's
so.
still going.
It's still inside. Just inside everybody. And
Well,
we're
we
back. we are back for chapter 2 of Last of Us. This is going to be episode 3. Yeah, I'm saying chapters because I can't say like episode 2, episode 3 kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
It's weird.
Matt saw my face and I was confused by hearing chapter 2 and I was like, wait, are we talking about episode 2? Because we did that last time.
That's why it took me a long time to be like, how could I possibly? Because it would be weird of The Last of Us episode 2 - episode 3.
Well, just wait until Last of Us part 2, chapter
Dude, I'm not
2,
even thinking about that.
episode
I
3.
haven't been thinking about that. But at least I can still do Last of
can't
Us
wait.
part 2, chapter 1, episode this. It's going to be, but it's going to keep lane. Hopefully they don't do like part 13, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways,
Yep.
We are back. This episode is episode 3. So if you haven't seen it, I would suggest watching episode 3, then listening to us because I imagine we're going to reference stuff very specifically for shots and stuff.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't seen it in a while, I'm sure it won't be like, a lot of it would be, I think I remember that shot.
or maybe, oh yeah, they did do that.
That
happens a lot.
That is a very good point. I'm hoping that they say that.
That's what.
all the
Yes,
time.
that's exactly what I
Definitely
always
not
hope for.
any of my stuff.
And maybe we encourage them to go back and watch something too. So that's the other potential benefit to this endeavor.
So last time we talked about episode 1 and 2. We're up to date. We will jump into the episode in a second. Just to get everybody up to date who hasn't listened to last one. We got the introduction to Joel and the world in the first 30 minutes. Then Sarah dies. We jump to present day. We got a whole setup of the universe, what Joel's life is. He's with Tess. We watched the Joel and Tess get picked up Ellie. They escaped the QZ. Personal stuff happened. We had the first death, Tess's death in episode 2. And then we are at the point of episode 2 ends. They escape the building. Tess explodes the building, kills all the effective. And then I went back and looked, and we didn't mention last time, but the final shot I thought was a very good, very telling shot of like it was a kind of a close up. Ellie was centered in the screen with the building in the back that kind of referenced the QZ in society, and then we had like a slow pull out and Ellie looking at Joel, who already left.
Yeah.
Kind of questioning, not knowing what's going to happen. We kind of got to pull away from society. She started getting smaller into the frame. And I thought it set perfectly of like, not everyone, we're all questioning what's going to happen. It's a big, scary world.
Yes.
The adventure seems almost impossible what they're trying to do. And I personally was very, pessimistic about what's going to happen. So many deaths already. Tess's death, Sarah's death, and even just the death.
HBO likes to kill off their characters.
Yes,
so.
yes, for real. So then
Very
we had
on brand.
It was very, very dark point, and then
And also that shot also isolates Ellie and really,
that is very true.
It does a little bit of work by itself as well. Of she really is alone, and not just feels alone, but is alone in the fact that so far she's the only immune one.
Right. Well, also from that sense too, Joel's is probably the character we've been following since the beginning at this point, aside from Sarah from that intro start. But where essentially the camera is us as a character. We're like turned around looking at Ellie, but we're also following back with Joel.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, that's very true.
That's the sense I got.
He was behind the camera walking that way, so it was.
It's almost like turning around and looking back at her while you're walking. It's kind of like here
we're going. You got to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to know, like, because you guys played the game, so you knew, and I didn't play the games, but I still knew like who the main character is based off the posters and stuff. So if you didn't know the posters, you didn't know anything about the game, do you actually know who the main characters still are? Because so far, like, we got a bunch of, we picked up Ellie not that long ago. We thought Tess was going to be a main character.
Yeah.
She's dead already. So it's like, I assume you're still kind of questioning, like, who are we going to follow around? What is going to be the main cast and stuff?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be Tess.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I do have the games embedded in my head.
Exactly right. It's hard for you guys to.
I would compare it to stuff like, I don't know. Look at any other post-apocalyptic movie. There's a lot of them where you follow the typical, like the usual main character. You start with them, and then they run into someone, even
Picks
sometimes
up
a
some
kid,
stories,
and they're almost like almost just as much of a
Just a
main
two-hander,
character as them, but you
Mhm.
still have that main person you're following, kind of.
Yep. So then we have the those 2 episodes, and then we roll into this the new episode. And it is a very, very unique episode in the sense that, like, it's an hour 20 minutes. It's called Long Long Time, which is the song that they sing.
Yes.
Which we'll get to that, but it's an hour and 20 minutes, and I would say out of that there's about 15-20 minutes of Joel and Ellie. So we jump back in with Joel and Ellie. They're hiking. You get to see an actual they make a cairn, which was awesome. Like, not what everyone else does, just random rock piles in the where they think it's cool photos. Actually supposed to be a trailhead, like not trailhead, but a trail marker that you're on a trail. I enjoyed that. And we get a little bit of banter of Joel and Ellie. We got a little peek into what their life's gonna be on the road, kind of. I think we hit the gas station, which very much felt like to me of here's your first, like, I feel like Ellie is the player in our viewing, because she's like scavenging. She finds stuff here and there, like randomly, like you would if you went into playing a video game. If you went into there, you'd start like looking around.
Right. And well, that's the thing. That's a distinction from the game, is that you're always Joel in the game, typically always Joel in the game. But then Ellie still does go off and kind of scamper around looking at things and picking things up and stuff. And then you interact with her as Joel's character.
Right. But in this time, you get to see what she experiences and interact in the world from her point of view. And I really like that shift, that we're not just staying with one character. Because, Matt, to your point, I think that my assumption was Joel's going to be the main character the entire time. And but having Tess, be such a prominent figure in that first episode and second episode, and then you kill her off, it kind of does set up the worry of, well, is there a main character and is anybody safe? Which I kind of like.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah. I absolutely agree. Some of the little things that I do before we get past I guess it's not a gas station. I don't even know what it is. It felt like a gas station to me, or whatever the building that they go in. Like, he hides a stash, and I thought it was perfect. It would be so difficult to find those stashes. Like,
yeah, right.
You leave for like a year, and you're like, or a couple of years, you're like, where did I hide this?
Yeah.
When they left it, he also didn't even cover up the tile that he pulled up, which I thought was weird. I was like, pull the thing over. But we do get a little bit more of, like, we get a little bit more of Ellie's, get to know Ellie a little bit more. She jumps into, again, kind of has fear, but she's fearless, where she finds a hole and she's like, oh, sweet, I'm jumping in there. Are you kidding me? Like, that would be
without
terrifying.
even hesitation.
Yeah. But she's also smart. When she jumps in, what's the first thing she does? Make sure she has an exit out. She flips the trash can before she does anything else. And then she finds the infected down there, which I think is one of only 2 infected in the whole episode.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
We were 3rd episode of this zombie infected series, and we've seen a little at the beginning of 1, 2 had a bunch, and then 2 in the middle, like in 2 in episode 3, and that's it so far. But you don't really kind of notice it unless you're like looking for it. I feel like it feels natural. But she finds him, it stuck in the attached, and then you get a little bit more of her kind of darkness, I felt.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The way that she's a little bit of a sadist, and the way that she is also just fascinated by these creatures as well. maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's the first infected that she kills by herself.
I don't
I think
I would assume so because I can't think of another one.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, hold on a second.
In her backstory in like
Yes,
the mall,
yeah.
I'm not sure. We'll have to remember that, like write
Okay.
that down for when we get to there, because I couldn't tell you for sure.
I think she did kill one to save.
That'd be my
Yes,
guess.
I'm pretty sure that's how it played out in the show.
But at least minimum, it's the first that we've seen her.
Yeah.
Other than that, she's been
Yes.
a very helpless child that's just getting dragged around and stuff. But
Yep.
then we do see the small. Also with that infected, I thought the makeup that was fantastic. 'Cause that's like
Absolutely.
that super close up of that person. You
Yep.
got to see all the little details.
Even
I
the
thought
color in their eye and
Yep,
everything.
it felt flawless to me personally.
And the way that,
Very practical.
You cut the skin and it's just like this mold kind of
Yeah.
behind it. Oh,
That was interesting.
fantastic. Very, very chilling.
But again, going back to like we talked about this during the episode 2 portion, chapter 1.
Thank you, Geoff.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm catching on. The alluding to her darkness is not in the video game because she's very much a curious kid and like spunky in the game and shit. But it's very much part 2, the second game, that really she gets dark and I feel like they're actually just like
Setting up
again
to a
throwing
little bit
yes
more.
totally yeah they very much
That
are.
makes sense. That makes sense. I remember when we got to the cannibal pedophile later in the series. There's a little bit more of that. Like they went out of their way in the like behind the show or whatever, and they talked about it. They said we meant to put that darkness into it that wasn't really in the game. It was like point more of like making it sound like she is much more similar to him than it was in the game and stuff like that. Again, the theme of everything. We'll get to that. I want to point out there was another Easter egg for the game. I think the Street Fighter. What was it?
Yep.
The Mortal Kombat. Well,
Yes,
Mortal
or whatever
Kombat in the
it was.
show, but it was called at least I don't remember what it was called in the game actually at this point. But the character that Ellie's obsessed with is Angel Knives in the game, but it's Melina from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and I caught I had a friend who loved this.
Yep.
Right, and she just like immediately just is able to accept and move on and still honor something about somebody she lost.
Immediately, how long do you think that was since that happened?
Maybe a week.
You think so?
I don't think it was that long.
Well, how she was. Wait, didn't they say she was in there? She was like, "Oh, I got bit like 10 days ago or something like that," right?
Oh,
That was
Okay.
was when the first time they saw it. So then that was a couple days or
Right.
a day and 2
Okay,
days
so
after that. At
2-3
least.
weeks.
So
I
it's 2
still
weeks.
feel
No,
that
I agree.
that's
I hear you. I hear you. But I feel like it wasn't like necessarily
not
immediate. But
as soon. That's fair.
But she is hiding it very well because they asked her about it before too, and she still was
Brushed it off, moved
yes. Which defense mechanism.
on. Exactly. Exactly. Another allusion to just games in general, I thought was, or you just suck at shooting. It's like, no, you miss. It happens a lot less, more frequently than you think. And I think that was very much a tongue in cheek to auto shoot or whatever that feature is. Shoot assist or whatever it is.
I think it's
Auto
shooting
lock.
assist or something like that.
Yeah. To help you
in
like
video
kill.
games. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
sorry.
because
I went to movies.
Oh,
and, like
yeah.
Firefly has that. I think that might have been Back to the Future. One of them. They also talked about you got to aim or use your hands like a baby or whatever.
Yeah. Because I think
I don't play video games.
I think that the perception
Stardew Valley.
is that most of which is a very shoot 'em up kind of. No, I think the perception is that most people assume that shooting a gun and killing someone is it super easy and doesn't take a lot of skill and practice because of video
every time
games.
you shoot, you're gonna kill. Well, all the
Right,
good guys,
yeah.
the bad guys, they're awful. The
Are
good guys
very,
are great.
very awful.
But we did see that is a perfect because we saw much of the banter was in full effect.
Yep.
The Ellie
We
Joel
finally start to
banter.
see a little bit of bonding.
Right.
Yes.
Speaking of which, like the airplane conversation that they have is from the video game.
Oh,
Spot
okay.
on for
Makes
sure.
sense because
Yes.
that matches with like the hotel thing where she was like,
Yep.
or even when we later when she gets in the car, she's like, this is like a spaceship.
Yep.
Which also what she knows spaceship is, but that feels like a weird
Right?
reference.
Yeah,
But-
they're teaching him about spaceships, but they won't teach him about
Well, I think
economics.
that feels like more of a mistake line.
That or
she just
comic
kinda,
book kind of
She
thing.
kind of just improved on it and they liked it, so they left it, but nobody went.
that
Why
plane
would
was
they be teaching about spaceships?
Right,
and
exactly.
stuff?
Well,
Why would she know what a spaceship is?
comic books.
She
Maybe?
just-
But
yeah,
not
I know.
barely a plane.
well, she like in the game and
She doesn't know
everything.
what a seatbelt is.
She right. She doesn't know the practicality of the world, but she does like read comic books and is like a geek and everything. So like she definitely her character in general is drawn to space and like.
I mean, you know what a horse-drawn buggy is, but you don't use it, right? You don't know the functionality of it. That kind of thing is kind of what I'm thinking. Is it's to her so far in the past that it's just a thing that was and not a thing that
just something
is.
that intrigues her.
Well, but it's like, but one is so far advanced, and we're never in a million years going to get back to spaceships, but nobody taught her what a seatbelt was, which is in cars that exist around her.
Exists around her, but I don't think they're functional. I don't
I don't
think
give a shit. It's still a thing that you can touch, and somebody goes, that's a car that has this, that has this, that has this. I don't think at any point they're like, there's the spaceship that we all have.
To be fair, no one taught me what a seatbelt was in grade school. I just got in a car and learned it.
And yet, but before, did they teach you spaceships before that then? Before you learned what a seatbelt was?
I bet you I knew
Maybe.
I bet you, yeah.
Shut up. You guys are fucking obnoxious. I hate this shit. I'm stop. No, we're all.
I
it's
definitely
done.
knew what a space shuttle was before I clicked my first seatbelt.
Okay, shut the fuck up, people. So we also get a little. Anything else out there? I'm moving on, you assholes.
Yeah, because I had my parents click my seatbelt in for me. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, so we're moving on to.
Wait. Thank God she found tampons. As soon as she found tampons, I was like, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Periods must be fucking horrible.
Terrible.
Awful.
Like, can
Yes.
you imagine?
Just awful.
I
Yeah.
assume those infected can't like smell blood. They're not sharks.
They're
right?
not sharks. I don't know. I
We
don't know how to
know,
answer
actually.
that.
I stumped everybody.
Do they have gills?
But so we like when she was talking about the plane, we also got a little bit backstory about a little more information about the infected.
Mm-hmm.
We got like at least the working theory about how it all started.
Right.
I loved that theory. I loved
Well,
and that
yeah.
he took time to explain it to her because it was very much, I could lie, I could, make something up, I could just
Yeah.
ignore her, move on, and not just for the audience benefit, but for her again being a kid and curious, recognizing, you know what, I don't need to be a dick to someone who's genuinely showing some kind of curiosity about something she doesn't know about, and I thought that was a really human moment of him
seatbelt.
to like seatbelts, just like seatbelts.
I like the line
Title
also.
of this chapter is
Hey,
seatbelts.
you ask a lot of goddamn questions. Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Right? She's so proud
I just
of
like
it.
the matter of fact. Yeah, yes, I do. But so what it means is that the background of hypothetically how it started was that the cordyceps got into a food supply somewhere, some basic food supply, and then enough people consumed it, which means is you don't have to get bit to turn, which I think leans kind of towards the spores that like in the game or in the air that you can just breathe them in and become infected because the way it started wasn't people got bit.
Right.
It was just the cordyceps got into your body.
Yep, and
That's
then
all
mutated
that's
from
needed.
there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I'm
assuming-
still bummed they took out the spores. Like I liked the idea of it.
later there you got your masks later. Calm down.
Right. That's coming. That's coming. And
But it
you
wasn't
know,
for
maybe season
spores.
2.
And maybe part 2, season 8, 9. They'll bring it up like it's advanced more. And
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is it
again, I
advances
doubt it.
to spores?
I just
bet
like
you.
the idea of the spores being like so intense and condensed in a certain area that's been exposed and infected for so long that it's like you can get infected by inhaling it into your body.
I was wondering about like because it came from food or whatever. Hypothetically, wouldn't people be a little bit more weary about food that they find out in the wild, or just because it's been 20 years? I'm sure that, or is all that dead? Like, did that just disappear?
No, I would be
or
afraid.
would that not?
I would be
should
afraid
that not
of-
still be
Sure.
around. Right?
Not even just the cordyceps or anything like infecting you, just normal disease and things like that because there's not as much penicillin.
We don't need to go through the list of things that you'd be afraid of. But the sun is hot. That wind could knock over that tree.
Definitely.
An eagle could fly down and attack me.
Why risk tripping over something like when they're walking over that trunk, over that branch? You could trip and scrape yourself, and then
That's a very good point.
Right?
I apologize. I'll
come
take my
on,
back.
man.
To be fair on your point though, Joel was talking about all that stuff as in like not definitively
I'm
knowing.
really glad you're fair to everybody. I appreciate that.
Of course, yeah. I try to be.
Very Swiss of you.
So, yeah.
But he when he was explaining to her, he's like, it was basically a lot of like, well, what we heard
Yeah, I
was
was
that
gonna
it
say,
might,
that's why I was like,
may have
working
started
theory,
this
that's why I
way.
said that.
Yes, yeah,
The other part of the plan thing though is it shows just the outlook, right? Ellie's very curious and optimistic, and how cool is it you got to fly in the sky? And Joel's like, yeah, it sucked. Everything sucks. Everything has always sucked. Everything will suck forever. Like just the
I'm on his side with
sheer
that.
difference.
Flying does suck.
But it is pretty fucking cool.
Like
the fact that it happens.
Lock yourself in a metal tube and defy gravity with all these people that are just coughing into your mouth.
Yep.
See, I wouldn't mind it if I was alone.
I'm not a germaphobe, but I still wear masks when I fly.
Yeah.
Good.
Because it's horrible. I can't even imagine. Because it's not like they're getting pumped out or
no,
pumping
it's
in new air.
Recycled air
Yeah,
from the cabin.
It's
Exactly.
disgusting. Anyway, so that was like the first about 18 minutes or so.
Sure.
And then we got a little bit. Then we transitioned to the next part. But when the transition, we got a little poke into the again depressing. We made this depressing. The universe is already depressing. Their journey is depressing. We are so pessimistic about what's going to happen. And then on top of that, we get to hear about the government did horrible things.
Yeah,
still,
the genocide that they did.
That must have happened beyond just that one. We got one little poke in it. Also, we did hear if you die, you can't be infected, that's interesting to me, I think. Because that goes a little bit away from zombie more.
Right. Zombies are undead.
Yep.
Exactly right. So everyone should be yelling at me for about whenever I say zombies. Yeah. But just so everyone knows, I'm still going to say zombie randomly.
It's going to happen. It's because that's what they are.
Yeah,
sure.
It is what it is. But yeah, so we got a little bit of the genocide and the horrible things. I like the dig she made about, we didn't get to hear about the horrible job the government did of stopping the pandemic.
Yes. You did catch that political line. I was wondering if you guys got that.
That was good. Eat it. And then I thought the transition was beautiful from this world that we are fully in, and then they transition from the clothes to the lady into the Bill and Frank.
Yep.
And
so beautiful way to flash back.
I thought it was fantastic. And that in the next 45 minutes or so is why the episode is so unique, and it doesn't happen that often, I feel like, is the next 45 minutes is completely two different characters that we have not been a part of. We heard their names here and there, kind of. Yeah. But you didn't really necessarily know it was them.
Yep.
And we won't see them again. But you see this just pulled out of
side
nowhere.
Story.
Yep.
Right. But
one-off.
What's his face loves to do it, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Here's the ball. I'm going to throw it to you real quick.
You all shut up. I have the talking ball.
I don't let him talk that often.
Whoa.
I have Phoenix's talking balls.
Thank you. Joaquin Phoenix's. He was picturing a red bird. I was
1,000% picturing.
Gotcha.
It's like Phoenix has big balls or something.
Craig Mazin seems to really like these one-off episodes. He wrote one of my favorite Mythic Quest episodes. Matt, I know you've watched that series. Jeff, have you seen that on Apple TV?
I haven't.
It's really fun. It's by the same.
Jeff.
Seriously, what are you even doing here?
Why am I here?
That's
why I get this mic.
Thanks for letting us come over, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of hot in here. Let's not go crazy.
Well, yeah, okay.
All right, you're outside.
It's
get out.
I can breathe.
I'm taking all my gear with me then.
It's a good show. I recommend it. It's by the one of the creators of Always Sunny, so it's got that kind of comedic feel to it. So there's a couple episodes. I thought Craig Mazin had written both of them, but the one in season 1 is written by Rob McElhaney and totally takes us off on a completely different story. But in season 2, there's another backstory episode where it's very much who are these characters kind of thing. How is this going to tie in? And it seems like Craig Mazin really likes to do these one-offs that seem, isolated at the moment, and then really kind of pull it all back around to make sense and tie it all into the episode and the themes of the show or whatever it is.
Interesting.
So this one is just so beautifully done.
Yeah.
So masterfully crafted that we get a little. I forgot that we had so much of Joel and Ellie in the beginning, right? So we're still in that world. We're still traveling.
There's still it's an hour and 20 minutes. You get like 15, 18 minutes at the beginning.
Yeah.
15, 18 minutes at the end of Ellie and Joel.
Exactly. But the rest of it is a self-contained story with characters inhabiting the same world that we're in and living in that same timeline. But it also kind of, helps take us through the transition of the last 20 years where episode 1, we just got that hard cut of 2003 to 23. And we didn't get any of the, how do you survive this, rebuilding the world. And this kind of helped take us through, how some people can survive.
Yeah, totally. And not to mention, the way, before we get too far into this story, it was a huge deterrent. It was probably the biggest deterrence from the video game that this show had gone. Like, they used
that's what I was gonna say.
A character's name, Frank, and they took that character and some subtleties and implications that were based around this character and turned it into a very beautiful story in the show.
Gorgeous love story.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Druckmann even commented on that. He said something along the lines of, we couldn't do this in the game because there's too much narrative. There's not enough to play. Mm-hmm. And just like we couldn't we couldn't put the game in this episode, in this kind of episode, because we need that pause, we need that breath.
Yeah.
We need to kind of reframe everything and recontextualize stuff.
Right. And I mean, so because I did like the game still, regardless of like what played out for Frank's duration of the game, because being that they changed it so much, they took out the entire storyline of them having to go to the high school and like they had to get a battery from the school or a truck from there, and they got trapped in there, and that's when you see the first bloater in the video game, I think. And it's a big battle of like this entire city that crumbled to all the infected.
Right.
And then you finally get back and you get into that truck and bail. And but the other thing that's actually really big difference too is in the game, Frank's character is just a dick in general. Like, he starts off as a dick in episode 3, regardless of the show. But Frank, yes, he's just an asshole. Which
wait, Frank doesn't seem like an asshole in episode 3 to me necessarily.
Wait. Bill, fuck.
Okay,
I'm
that's
saying
what
the wrong character.
Okay,
sorry,
I was gonna say, I was like, I agree with you,
my
Bill.
bad,
Frank
my bad.
seemed like very nice.
Sorry. Flipping names.
The whole time I was taking notes and stuff, I was like, which one is it? Bill or is it Frank?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, sorry.
Bill, bitch.
You might have to strike a lot of what I said then, because
not happening.
Because Bill is the dick in both versions,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
and Frank is only mentioned in the video game via like little letters and
really?
notes that you pick up.
We don't actually get
you don't
to
actually
see
him. So that's why that's actually important that I get the names right. But anyways,
but it was essentially the same. It was just the wrong name.
Yes. So here, Matt, Bill.
Well, that'd be very interesting. Maybe I'll just leave you just doing that in completely and make you sound like a psychopath.
People will know and understand.
I think I'm gonna enjoy that.
But anyways,
the essence of this whole thing is not just, in my opinion, not just to tell a romantic love story, but it's to show that there still can be humanity in people, even the people who have the worst intentions about the world or the worst beliefs about everybody else in the world.
So I think, honestly, I was thinking when I was sitting there and I was like, we're all so pessimistic about it. And then the whole time so far, we've been told, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. But the whole time, the light's been evil.
Yep.
There's nothing good happening. And it's like, we're all in this darkness. And then I kind of felt like this is the light that they gave us.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're lost in this horrible world. Everybody's, this person dies. They're never going to make it across the country. And then they gave you this light. And it was like, in this horrible darkness world, you had this gorgeous, beautiful love story that even once we go through all this and we start talking at the end, the outlook for the adventure went from pessimistic, horrible, probably not going to happen, let's be honest, to they're going to fucking do this. Let's go. They're singing, all this stuff. And it really felt like it was the light when we were lost in the darkness of this horrible story.
And you couldn't really, I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be as impactful when Joel and Ellie stumble upon the house and they just see the note, right? And they're already dead. And we don't know these characters or know the impact and really what finding solitude like this actually means to somebody in this kind of world without this isolated story. So yes, it's fun, but it also serves a much deeper metaphorical purpose as well, on top of everything else. Because like you said, they're off singing, but that just would have felt tonally completely different and it wouldn't have made, I don't think, for very good TV. So I think that it's fantastic that they reset these characters and didn't follow the game 100%.
Yeah. The one thing I did like from the video games, though, that was because Bill's character was such an asshole and then Ellie's just being Ellie, their little, they bantered back and forth and like, fuck you, dude. No, fuck you. Yeah. Like literally, it was just hilarious the entire time.
Right.
I liked that, but again, I essentially like both versions for what like they are. They're both done really well.
The TV show's better than the video game, obviously, though.
So this I agree. But so this isolated story is about a survivalist, conspiracy theorist, maybe. someone who hid in his own bunker, who he was ready for an apocalypse, didn't really know what it was, but was going to arm himself, have enough food, right, have all these kind of tools to survive at least initially. And I really like that when everybody did leave, right, the military took the town away, he immediately went out and started fortifying everything, and saying, nope, this is mine. No one is going to come and infringe on this.
He was just having a ball with it too. Like he stepped outside and he was just like, fuck yeah, everyone's gone.
Yes. Absolutely. And then that line too in the Home Depot is, oh shit, that was sooner than I anticipated, or something like that, where, oh yeah, I guess power probably wouldn't stay on that long. When you think about no one's there to run it, maintain it, and keep it going.
There's no way he'd have that much gas also.
He did have quite a lot, so
I don't give a shit.
Why
dude,
the hell would
20 years?
Right. Oh, true. I don't know.
But where does he have to drive?
Exactly.
And,
when you're,
he has a Jenny running. He has a generator running in the back.
True.
He's got a bunch of stuff going on. He's got, canisters set up a fire and stuff.
I don't believe that.
Maybe he just had a really efficient generator.
I fucking hope so.
Apparently.
Also, how is that not attracting infected?
Infected and or more people. Which we'll get to that.
It's fascinating that once somebody showed up.
It's a crystal sink generator. They're quieter.
You're right. My bad. They put a bunch of packing blankets around it.
It's E85.
Sound blankets with C-stands surrounding it.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Honest to God, when I was sitting there going, "Oh, this would be so loud," I was like, I'm imagining them some C-stands like squared around with packing blankets and everything.
Right?
Some
kind of. I don't know, but yeah. So the survivalist sets traps to catch any infected and possibly any other people. One person that stumbles into one of his traps being Frank, and I don't really know exactly why you let him in, which I want to touch on, but yeah, so so Bill lets him into his house, kind of lets him have a shower, cooks him a meal, says, all right, congratulations, you've eaten, pretty much go. And, then it turns out that they are each other's soulmates and decide to stay together for the next upcoming 20
they're
years.
Soulmates?
Something close to it.
Bold statement.
I think so. Because I think it takes work to stay with somebody, even in these kind of circumstances.
Man, I take it you don't believe in soulmates.
No. What are the fucking odds that no, I'm not saying it was like, by no means am I saying this is like, oh, one was lying or whatever shit like that. But it's like, I imagine it was, honestly, what's his face? Bill, I think he's the post-apocalyptic Bo. From Bo's Afraid, where he was very suppressed, anybody that showed attention. But
he is very self-sufficient. So
I still to this day think he's more of Ron Swanson still. More than anything.
he's Ron Swanson with a horrible mom that didn't let him, experience the world kind of and suppress. Yeah. Because the one thing he touched was the piano, and he was like, oh, that was my mom's and stuff, which kind of felt like my mom lived here with me and all that stuff. He never had sex with a man before, like one woman a long time ago, he said. Yep. So I think it was more like he was searching for anybody, and he lucked out to find Frank, because Frank was a good person, and it was a great, almost perfect damn match. But I'm just saying, soulmate,
okay, I see where your version is, absolutely, because I think that Bill absolutely was, looking for anybody to connect with, just inherently. I think he would have been fine being alone for the next 15 years and, being himself. But I think that deep down, without even realizing it until somebody literally stumbled into his life, he was always searching for that, because I think that goes a little bit deeper of he shut himself off a long time
I think it comes down to
long
that he got
before the shit hit the fan.
I think it comes down to that he got used to being alone, and he was just fine with that.
Yes.
And then when finally, because it was years that he was doing that by himself. And
I think it was 4.
Yeah, and then he runs into this person, and he had every reason, his character had every reason to not give a shit and just either shoot this guy or send him off on his way.
Exactly,
but he didn't.
He chose not to.
Yeah.
And that's the one piece that is really kind of hard for me to believe that somebody like Bill would accept anybody, and no matter how good looking they are, no matter how good of a connection they have immediately, right? How much chemistry they may or may not have. It's really difficult for me to think that, you are unarmed and nobody's with you. Okay, cool. I'm going to believe you and I'm going to trust you. And now I'm going to let you into my house instead of any other part of the town. I'm going to let you into my house and cook for you. And also, I'm going to leave you alone.
He was looking for love.
Exactly,
So it's like he was looking for someone to love him. I mean, not necessarily love him. Like, I don't think he looked at him and went, I'm totally going to have sex with this man.
Yeah,
I think it was more of just like, he's kind eyes. There's something about him that I am attracted to.
I think he just wanted some sort of connection. I feel like it could have been anybody, and he might have let them in, but because of the circumstances that were presented, it turned into something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little A, little B. I think it more like, he let him out, and then it was like Frank didn't try to hurt him. He didn't try to trick him. He didn't try to run immediately, too. Yeah. But they kind of made the small connection that was like, you've met people before in the world that you're like, we kind of have a weird connection.
Yeah.
And, they'll disappear or whatever. Right. If there's an apocalypse and you were like, hey, I have some great steak. You want to come in? And then,
that's usually where like the cannibals come in.
That's
something a cannibal says.
We'll get there. But yeah, it's.
I do want to point out, this goes back to when you were like, do you think Sarah is going to last in the post-apocalyptic world? And Geoff said, oh, she was probably too trusting. Was that not exactly what Bill is like? Was he not too trusting? He just lucked out.
Yes.
He really lucked out that he let in somebody that was not a psychopath that's going to steal all of his shit.
Well, to be fair, he was like ready though. If something was
ready,
going down.
but then he let his guard down.
I was about to say, I don't know.
Didn't he have his gun with him the entire time?
Yeah, but he wasn't staring at him the whole time.
Right, right. Leaving, cooking for him, letting him in the house, just in general.
I get it. He wasn't Bill didn't strip down and was like, I trust you with my entire.
Yeah, well, even at the table though, they were sitting on opposite ends.
Yes.
And
I can throw.
That's a defensive.
I can throw a steak knife pretty goddamn fast. And he's
faster
dead.
than a bullet.
Yes.
Nice. That's
just I've tested
it. I measured the speed.
Damn. I don't like that I'm sitting across from that right now.
I know this is very.
I don't like this at all. It's very showdown-esque.
I like the very beginning of their story when they all leave and he comes out of his house. I do really think it was a reference to the game that he came out in the mask, because you wear masks, like you were saying.
You mean to Chernobyl?
He said it, not me.
You haven't even seen Chernobyl.
He said it, not me.
You guys are jerks.
But yes,
I'm gonna go back to my shit.
So my question for you guys is: Did it feel like Frank was trying to trick him in early on before they kissed, and even honestly after the kiss? It felt to me like he was really had something malicious behind his intentions. It felt like he was
I don't
waiting,
think so either.
I can't believe you're so stupid to just trust me like this. It really felt that way.
I
to me.
personally
There's a moment
I think tricking him, yes, but it's kind of the have fear but be afraid thing. Was he trying to trick him because he wanted a meal?
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily I don't think he was I'm going to trick him into letting him into my house and I'm going to eventually steal everything and stab him. I think he was I really just need to talk this guy into letting me into his house so I can eat, I can have a shower and this amazing. And then when he got in there, he kind of was oh, this guy is very.
See, I didn't take it as that. I took it as Frank's character is honestly, I don't know how he's alive. He's just too honest and too nice.
No, I think he's a people person and he's very good at talking people into things he wants.
See, I don't know about that because the thing that flipped my mind on that kind of idea was when he's in the hole and then Bill asks him, are you armed? And he just pauses. And then he's just he's like, why'd you pause so long? And he's just like, I honestly, I don't know. I was trying to think of a lie and then I just fucked up. I just think he's terrible at that shit. I think he's just too innocent. And
here's the thing. I also think that if you pretend like you can't lie, people aren't going to believe. I think you're easier to lie to people. Maybe I've done that before. Right. Where it's if you pretend like you're bad at lying, they're not going to believe you're they're going to trust you because you're bad at lying.
I get that. Yeah,
but they've seen you be honestly, bad at lying. It all felt very.
I don't think it's necessarily deceiving people, but I think it's he's just good at getting people on his side and going you can trust me. We can do business. Hey, Tess. Trust me, we should do business. And that was the best thing that probably happened to them.
I just think he was just too, I think he was a little naive. And
I agree with that.
For lack of a better term, I think he's just not really smart in that world, that post-apocalyptic world.
Interesting. But yeah.
I just think he's just openly honest and has to be nice. And,
interesting. And he just happened to be the 1 out of 10 that survived. and made it through, and it wasn't because of skills. Because I could totally see where Matt's coming from. Is I'm going to talk my way into and out of pretty much any situation.
I just think he's lucky.
No, I mean, all of it's got to be a lot of luck.
At the same time, luck plays a major factor in
it's
all
lucky
of
that
this.
they met their soulmates.
Because he could be definitely, like, you could see...
Soulmates, Matt? You think they're...
No, you're right. I agree. My bad. Sorry.
I could see Frank's character, if there was a side story for Frank, I could see a character like that in, say, like, another post-apocalyptic situation, like, say, Walking Dead or something. Being the character that he is, runs into confrontation, he's not going to be a hero and save those other people. He's going to bail and run.
Oh.
That's like, I think he knows that he can't take care of himself.
He ran out of that house immediately and dragged Bill when there was that firefight.
But that's also after establishing that the real, like, Bill
he didn't get the chance.
They
he didn't
love
get the
each other at
chance
that
to
point.
prove it beforehand. So I don't know. I'm not saying he would or wouldn't. I'm just saying
this is all hypothetical.
No,
but yes.
absolutely. But I'm just saying is like, just because I agree with you. They did establish they were in love. Like he of course was going to do that for the love of his life and stuff like that. But like we didn't get a chance for him to necessarily. Do you think he was with 10 people and they all died, or he ran away, or what do you think?
I believe him. I believe what he said.
So you think he was just lucky that he was able to?
I think he just bailed. Like I think it was a situation where the group ran into infected, and he just happened to be farther ahead of everybody.
We'll call Craig.
Please do.
Right? That's his name.
Yeah,
Sorry.
congratulations.
Or Neil.
I was like, did I nail it?
Yes, you did. You see, and I don't know if I would or wouldn't let somebody in. I feel like if I was that pent up and ready to kill somebody for lying to me about why they weren't going to kill me, I don't know. I felt very, very
we didn't really see Bill. He maybe killed somebody during the firefight, and that was it.
Yeah.
He killed like a zombie passively,
right?
But we didn't really see him as a killer or anything. Like I get, like they were telling, he was very prepared. He was a survivalist and stuff, and he threatened Joel.
He's very threatening, but he's not actually going to act on it. Maybe interesting. Okay.
Again, we didn't get the opportunity to, blah, blah.
But at the same time, right? He is absolutely 100% looking for, like, oh my God, there is somebody else here I can talk to. I didn't know I wanted this so badly, which also helps me to believe that once they're in the house and starting to actually talk, that's why he gets so vulnerable. I feel like.
And I do believe the attraction was real once they sang, like he watched Bill sing the song because he was crying. So I think he really did look at this person, and he looked at this and goes, he is a sweet soul, and he is a actually generally good person based off of the song. But so then I think the connection at that and the attraction at that point was real.
Yes. Yeah. He saw underneath basically.
All that.
I was a little bit weirded out that Frank kissed Bill without even knowing his name. He just went for it, and then it's like, oh hey, by the way, who are you?
Yeah, what's your name, though?
I think that goes to the attraction, the real connection and attraction, because it wasn't like they got to know each other and then like eventually created a bond, because that's a lot of relationship. Also, it's just like person A, person B, we spend so much time together. Mm-hmm. Clearly, we're a match because I see you every fucking day. It was more of, I don't even know who this person is, but I love this soul for some reason. Yeah. I'm attracted to these eyes, which I think is why Bill lit Frank in it all.
I think you do believe in soulmates.
Hey, shut up, Geoff.
So back and forth.
I
have another question for you guys. When do you think that the moment is that Frank sees it? And
sees
by
what?
sees who Bill is?
Sorry, you said see it, and I was like, what are you talking
about? When he took the towel off, I assume, he told him to take a shower. I mean, what I'm saying is, like, you mean, like, really know who Bill is?
Yes.
That piano scene.
10 years down the line. When do you really know somebody?
Okay.
Until you've really, like, grown with them and spent years with them and stuff like that.
Right.
When I think what you're looking for is, personally, like I said, I think after he sang the song.
Yeah.
I think he looked at him differently than he did before. Mm-hmm. And it was, I could actually be, around this person. I think I really want to get to know this person.
I think that was where I saw it too.
Yeah.
The creators have a different idea, which is why I wanted to know, because I had the same idea that Matt did. They were kind of friendly and cordial to each other, and maybe a little bit flirty back and forth. But once that song is actually solidified, like, hey, we actually do have this connection, that was where the page flipped.
My guess that they're gonna say is when he let him in.
It's even earlier. It's literally when he climbs out of the pit. And there's a hesitation from Bill of...
Are you sure they don't think they mean is when he physically saw him with eyes? Because I agree that's when he first saw him with his eyes.
Exactly, right? 100%. So no, I don't know. But that's when they say that actual connection is that it was immediate.
So are they calling it love at first sight?
Basically.
Okay.
Basically. So...
I don't know how much I trust you reading quotes after the Bo is afraid of me.
Hey, you said something from something that's not going to be in the podcast.
He did it! But he didn't try and tie it in, so okay, fine.
Didn't he tie it in?
I'm cutting all this. Bro. They're never going to hear you guys call me out.
I love the government are all Nazis line. Yes. That killed me. That was great.
Yeah,
that was
very Ron Swanson.
Very much. Very Nick Offerman stand up like.
Yeah, that was said when we jumped. So like when they first when the outbreak happens and Bill is hiding in the basement, he comes out. When they meet, it's 4 years after the outbreak. Then we have the weirdest meet cute I've ever seen personally, probably.
Yes.
And then they get to know each other a little bit. They sing the song, and the song is "Long, Long Time" by I don't know who. But I was wondering is that the song at the very end that they're playing?
Yes.
Is that a cover?
It's Linda Ronstadt.
But so yeah, then they have sex, and then it cuts to 3 years into the future, and then we definitely got little timestamps or little like blips of at their relationship as it goes. The first one was when they're meeting and it was fresh, and then we jumped 3 years ahead, and it really felt like we jumped into the kind of the relationship settled down. The honeymoon phase is gone. They're still together and doing everything, but it's much more arguing, and they're trying to decide and
bickering and
bickering. One of them's the resource manager, so I want to do stuff because
that's not efficient.
I know that's what it feels like. It feels like Bill's the efficient, we got to do X, we got to do this because it's
follow the proper procedures.
Correct. Well, to your point, they only have a limited amount of resources. So, right, if you're going to waste gas on something,
trust me, I'm on Bill's side.
Better be for a good fucking
Bill's got logic.
Frank, we put all that shit in there anyway. Frank, when they're like, "Oh, we'll get some clothes," I'm like, "You put the clothes in there." Like, what are you talking about, guys? Just like.
The delivery truck's not fucking rolling up.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But I understand, we wanting the home and stuff. So then we got a little bit of, that was that next stage of the politics was funny. And we got a little quick jump because we were only there for a little bit was, then he referenced, oh, he's been talking to Tess, which goes to the trusting, like you said, like he is a little too trusting. Who knows how much he, really got to know and vetted Tess.
And how lucky.
Being like, exactly.
How lucky.
Again, luck plays a huge role in this.
And he also was able to talk anyone into doing whatever he wants, like I said, which so also makes sense. So I'm right also.
You can cut that out.
Yeah. No. So then we jump to...
No one's going to hear that. That's good.
I'm
adding it to the list. I'll notice.
That was funny. I'll probably leave that and we take this out. Anyway. But so... I think the dinner party was still within that 3 year chunk, I think, right? Because we hadn't jumped again. Because I think it was.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So then we got a little bit into, which I did like, is the reference. We got to see Tess again and Joel. And it kind of was like, it gave us to remember, hey, remember Tess. So we also got a little, tug on the heartstrings because we got attached to her and then we lost her. We got a little bit of the, post-apocalyptic politics of like how things done and how smart Joel is.
Right.
We really got to see like the dynamic of like, Frank and Tess are very similar and Bill and Joel are very similar.
Yep.
And I don't
cut
think
from the same
I don't think Joel realized how similar they really are until
I loved that conversation that they had.
It was fantastic.
Like Joel was like rolling with it and then he ends with like, but you better get that fucking gun out of my face.
Yes.
Right. Like just
it's like I'm being nice.
You can get that out of my face. Like
but
just
I
so chillingly like
I ain't no bitch.
I'm not fucking around. Do not this is not gonna be a thing in this relationship.
No.
But then I found it interesting that Joel is the one to reach out and make the connection with, try and make peace with Bill and try and kind of,
Well, he's in his house. I think I think Joel's realistic. He's in somebody else's house with a gun pointed at him.
Right. Well, he starts off the conversation with being like, I totally get it. I get your, like, I get why you're doing what you're doing. I get why you have the gun on the table. It's like, I would do the same exact thing. And then he's just like, but seriously, get that shit out of my face.
Right, exactly. I think it's because I don't know. Do you think it's because Joel knows that Bill has something that he needs or that he wants? Or is it just because like he does see that kinship and he does see that companionship and go, hey, we are very similar underneath it all?
I don't think he realized how close he was personally to, like, the two of them were very similar until the letter at the end.
Okay.
I think he saw like a little bit of like, we were kind of the protector there, the women went and whatever, inside and crap like that. But then I think also if Joel and Bill were to run into each other on the road, they would be trying to kill each other.
Yes.
No question.
Yes.
And they didn't have something to trade. But it is Joel's realistic. You're in somebody's house.
So when do you think that he lost that openness and that willingness to be receptive to trust and open to other people? Because now he's hard, right? We jump forward.
I think Tess was the
Ellie.
driving force of that.
You think so?
I think so. I think she initiated those, and he was there along.
When do you think
her.
When do you think he wasn't willing to like trade and make deals with people?
Well, like
because
now,
weren't they trying to buy the truck battery?
Yeah,
instead
but
of going
he's
just to
much
go kill
more
him?
apprehensive. He's much more. We can find another way. We don't need to do this. We don't need to trust the Fireflies, right? We've done everything ourselves. We can make it. He's much less trusting.
I think that was just based on the circumstances.
Yeah.
You think it's
because
just
I
circumstantial?
would be less likely to take a package, which is a human being, and try and transfer that versus
Okay.
an actual
Yes.
tangible object.
And also,
Fair.
we're only seeing them there. Like, we didn't see Joel and Tess
Right,
argue about
right.
it before they even showed up, and him being like,
that would have been a fun argument to watch. Yeah.
Well, exactly. So it's like, we don't know if he was very hard nosed, because once you get there, you can't really be a dick necessarily. You've committed.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
You're there.
dude.
You can't. Don't be starting
So,
fights. Dude.
yeah.
We traveled how far? Like, we almost died to get
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You got to make this shit work. homie.
Exactly right. Like we and very much the Frank's line. We are going to have friends. Not an
Yeah.
if. Not an I want. Is this is going to happen? So I
And
absolutely.
that's the next step in their like really relationship
Yep.
where it's like, Frank is making Bill better, Bill is making Frank better.
Yep. And then vice versa. I totally see Tess saying the same kind of thing to
Yes.
Joel. Is
Yep.
this is happening?
The very big
Just
dynamic
get
is
used
like,
to it.
we didn't get to see Joel and Tess's relationship, but I think this is kind of a, under the rug. This is very similar, guys. Like, this is, if we could easily replace Tess with Frank and Bill with Joel, and this could have been their love story.
Absolutely.
I just think
Minus
Frank.
the dead stuff.
I was gonna say I just think Frank and Tess differ a bit though, because Tess can handle herself
I
much
agree.
better for
I
sure.
agree. It's definitely not a
But-
1-to-1.
Yes.
But yeah, similarity. So then we cut from that dinner scene party, dinner party, garden party thing to another garden kind of party.
Like 3 years in advance, total of 10 years. So we're halfway through, almost halfway to present day. And then now I feel like we're in the let's get back to shape phase.
Yes. Yes.
They're old. And also when they cut to there, I had the first moment to me that went, is like they're aging so much faster than Joel and Tess. Like I feel like that's kind of off in the, there might be a mistake kind of in the continuity of the world, unless Joel's a vampire, which because even another 10 years is like, he's still like healthy and stuff.
Yeah. He's still going. He's still
They jump to the garden.
trucking along, and one of the just I love it because it's so blissful. It's so right. Again, you talk about that light that we are supposed to be finding, and here is a giant reminder that there can be good in the world, and it's okay to take a pause and enjoy the little things, and and that laugh that Offerman,
the Ron Swanson,
Yes,
laugh.
that definitely. Yeah, that was Ron Swanson. It really felt like
very much.
But I like you are correct. Like you got the pure bliss. It felt like at that moment.
Yeah,
and
the
then
sunset lighting, and it was just
Oh,
really
the lighting
pretty.
and then
so perfect.
and then hard cut
to
back to reality.
terror.
We forgot, and also it felt so much like a video game. Like that was one of the most moments of this episode that felt like the video game. Like at the beginning a little bit. And now is you're coming out of cutscene or you're waking up and all shit's broken loose.
Yep.
And it's like
absolutely.
you're kind of searching, and he's like scavenging, trying to find the gun, and he finds it in the thing.
And
desk.
It's a
What was
desk,
it?
but I don't know exactly what it's
Desk
called.
drawer.
Desk drawer. That's what it was. Not an ornament.
Why? But why the fuck? Even if you are in a video game, why the fuck would you stand in the middle of the street?
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that
that was
pissed me off.
Well, so that
To
might
make the shot gorgeous, damn it.
I agree with you. But that also might go to a little bit of he might not be the stone cold killer that he really portrays, because is that not the stupidest thing in the world to be standing dead center shooting at people?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Shockingly, he got shot.
Yeah.
But he only got shot when he was interrupted. So it was maybe he's the vampire, and it was his concentration on getting those flames to the right person to prevent the bullets from hitting him.
That makes sense. Oh, that checks out.
Thank you.
All they needed was a John Wick suit, and then they would have been good.
Yes. Yeah, well, he got shot in the side, so yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. But I thought Frank, so this might go to Frank's survival because I thought Frank did a very good job.
He did.
He dragged him in, and then also I was fascinated that I was like, he was out there shooting, and then they got inside. He's like, they'll be fine. They'll die. It's fine.
Right,
Don't have to worry about the people outside. But I thought Frank did a fantastic job of alcohol. Kept him
handling
talking.
himself at that point.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That is, and it
But
could have
to that extent, he's been living with Bill for 10 years, so
it might be.
that
It might
does
be that.
track.
It wouldn't. Yeah. It would.
And also, just talking about that scene though, God, that was like one of my favorite like visuals in the entire show. Honestly, just walking outside and all those flames coming up. It was just like, and I mean, even the
colors
sound,
were gorgeous.
the sound, like the sniper, like the rifle that Bill was shooting was like so loud and like and it was so intense.
If I
It
could
was
watch,
very pointed too. It didn't just feel like,
if I
loud
could watch
all over.
a scene in the theater, I would have loved it.
Yes.
Or like surround sound, big
That was
projector.
great.
Like I did. I didn't have surround sound, but I just ran around I just spun in the middle, so it sounded like surround sound.
Nice.
They're behind me now.
Watch out, Bill! They're everywhere.
Are you pouring water into a glass to get the rain effect?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Back
No,
and
I was
forth.
throwing water against the wall. And then we jump. Then the biggest jump we've had is 10 years into the future. So then at that point, that's 20 total. We're caught up with quote unquote present day. I'm not really sure like when that time was in comparison to
When they
Joel
arrive.
and Ellie showing up.
I would say it's at least a 6 month period minimum. That's what I would
but
say.
here's the thing. What was up with the song? We never heard the 80s You're in Trouble. He would have played, wouldn't it?
I think it was on a loop, so
Yeah.
it was always saying trouble. So from whenever he
But so then why does Joel still have the code? Why is Joel even listening to the radio?
because he doesn't know. He doesn't know that they're dead.
But wouldn't there's trouble, Bill is warning people who have that code. So wasn't Joel listening to Bill and Frank's messages to him? So who else is Bill sending that code to?
No, I'm saying that the radio was playing 80s hits for however long they've been dead for.
So let's jump back real quick.
Okay.
To Ellie, Joel is sleeping on the couch.
Right.
Ellie's sitting there.
Right.
He wakes up and Ellie goes, it was playing Go Go is an 80s song. And he goes,
Right.
oh,
Right.
It's always been playing 80s. Why would he have that reaction?
Because he was hoping for something else. He was hoping for not danger for, I don't know. That's my perception
Well,
of
see,
it.
I also don't understand. Is that danger for like Bill's in danger, or is that danger as in there's danger around the area that the Joel and Ellie were in
I
at
think
that
it's
time?
one or other. Like there
think
is
it's more
danger
about
here.
just
Be
in
careful.
general.
I think that was like if you're showing up.
See, I've just been confused because it doesn't really talk about the distance between the zone, the Fedra zone
yeah.
to
That's very
where
true.
That
Bill
would
is.
be
So I
nice.
just don't know what that danger is entailing.
In general, they are like I think they have a magic carpet somewhere that they fly across the country.
Yeah.
And they don't give any references of like time and distance and all that crap.
Yeah.
Right. But you can also get pretty far once you actually, commit yourself. And there's no, stop signs or cars.
when there's
or
no
walking.
cell phones or
Well,
anything
yeah,
else
You
to
could
do.
just,
All right.
truck it.
We're in Colorado. I'll see you in California in how many days? When you don't have to stop at stop signs.
That's
just so you know.
thank God. As a pedestrian, that really helps.
Are you gonna jog or are you gonna walk? That's gonna.
Well,
I think
it depends on who you
he's
ask.
going to
Because
jog for about 15 minutes, then take a huge breather, then
don't
walk
like-
for a while.
I do not like how accurate that is. Also, my walk is some people's jog, so it depends on who you ask.
Oh.
Also, I really do you think that is the first and or last time that their compound got attacked? Because that was one of the biggest irritations for me. Was Bill and Frank's, shelter was
I
attacked
agree.
once by raiders?
I agree with you. I would assume what's the same as there was a lot of stuff that's like his tripwire with the gunshot.
Yeah.
That maybe has worked once in their life. Are you telling me the infected walk on trails?
Right. See, I liked the traps that he had set in the video game because he had like trip lines with pipe bombs, which are more likely to like if there was a bunch of them around, it would take out a bigger radius rather than a single bullet or slug.
That is very true. But it's just like you got to set up a bunch of them because I assume they just randomly walk. Like they had to set up in a trail and he got one, and I'm like, that's
Well,
probably the only time that.
Also in the game, he puts up like wood spikes to like direct their traffic.
That's very true.
So like I don't, they
Yeah,
don't really show anything.
Well,
like
but
that
in the game
show.
also we're present day, so he's had the 20 years to hone in and kind of figure out what works and what doesn't.
He had the entire city built
You know
out.
what? I do. When Joel and Ellie walked up when they were already dead, was there spikes in the ground? Now that you said that,
I know. I feel like I may have seen them. But
I feel
can't
like
remember.
I saw it also.
Yeah.
Now that he went through a whole process of it was just a fence, then it was cars.
Right.
Which also, let's go back to the gasoline thing. How are you stacking those cars?
I was going to ask the same
With
thing,
like
and then
a
I went, "Oh wait, no,
forklift
he's got a boat. That makes sense, right?"
But like, how much gas does that take to run a
Absolutely.
fucking?
I don't know. Maybe
Could
he
have been an
doesn't
electric forklift.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Then
I don't
he's
think
charging
that
he's charging on the Jenny.
Right. I don't think that
which
this
uses
dude,
what?
Which
Jeff?
is more efficient. I don't know.
If he was smart, he'd invest in solar power. But I don't think this is the kind of person who believes in
Believes in
renewable
solar panel.
energy. It's just that.
Well, it depends if whatever state they're in, if they give money back for installing. It takes 10
Is
years.
he going to get
for you to
paid
make-
if he
to go
installs
even.
this solar panel?
Right. Exactly. Oh yeah. The whole pay thing. Like, do you know how much this piano is worth? Well, currently nothing.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
funny. I like that.
Yeah.
I
I
like
forget.
that.
I forget all these little quips that he has.
Yeah, so we jumped 10 years.
Yes, we
We're
jumped.
at 20 years, present day, quote unquote.
Fantastic.
We're in their golden year.
Yes,
golden
exactly.
era.
Fantastic makeup job. I think the way that they aged both characters, I thought was
I
very
didn't have a problem
realistic.
with it.
Yeah,
Didn't
it
feel
looked-
over the top.
Yeah, it looked good. I just like I agree with you what you said earlier. All of a sudden they just like aged a lot.
Yes.
Like
that
I was like,
that was my other one that I'm like, is Joel a vampire? What's going on?
No, I think that I think they're older than Joel and Tess. I think that they're
But not-
already older.
But I feel like when they were at the dinner party,
Yeah.
what do you think the age difference was then?
I would say you're talking between Bill and Frank and Joel and Tess, right?
Yes.
I would say it's probably got to be at least 10 years.
Okay. So now how old is Bill and Frank when they die? Because they looked.
They look
they look
80s,
like
90s. I
so
would
then-
say
so-
60s maybe.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
So what, based off what they look, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
is
exactly. I would say
You
I
can't
would,
just change it to now because you caught yourself that if
No,
they're
no.
80, 90, that means Joel's like 70.
No,
now.
no, no. They look like they're 80 or 90. So in this
Yeah.
world, I'd say they probably are. Bill and Frank are probably in their 60s
so that would
when they
make
die. That's my thought.
So why doesn't Joel look like that?
Because he's in his late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, but if
which
he-
I think is actually the accurate
I agree
age.
with you, but I also agree with that Bill and Frank didn't look like they were in their 60s or whatever based off of the makeup.
Sure.
So why
But
didn't,
also
at the
why
dinner
didn't
party.
Joel not look like his age? Just like they didn't look like their
True,
age.
because Joel has much more stress and much more
So he'd be
wear and tear
he'd
on
be
his
worse
body,
then.
so he would be worse. I see where you're going with this, and I'm trying to talk my way
Case
into
closed.
a different.
Argument one.
I don't.
Why'd you point at me? I was agreeing with
I just
you.
didn't want to look at. I didn't want to look at him anymore because that was like the end of the argument when I look away, like and done.
You're like,
Exactly, right?
yep.
Yep.
exactly. That's what I. Yeah, that's what I was.
It's a tactic. I get it. And then I keep talking, and then it gets awkward because he just looks at me while I fizzle out, and then we have
And
an
then
awkward
both of you guys are looking
pause.
at me, and I don't know
well,
what to
like
do.
we talked, I edit in my head, so I'm like, why do I have to answer? It's not going to be in anyways.
All arguments against Matt are just futile.
Hey, well,
Apparently.
Oh,
if I don't win it,
I
if
could
I don't
give
win
a
it,
master class on that.
if I don't win it in person, I win it in post production. It's one of the two.
But Old Love is super cute. So, right, maybe it's just
Oh.
I agree. I
we
assume
we
that's
need a
what
way
it
to make them look old or feel old, even though they're not quite. Like
Yeah.
old tested love is much better.
It's
than
also
this
it's also
passion,
like we
right?
said is all the nice stuff, the things we like that we suspend disbelief, we forgive the small mistakes.
Right.
And it's like I do think that was it wasn't a perfect some stuff in there, but I'm willing to forgive it because
Yeah.
their story was
What
like
we got was
yeah.
so much better than what that may have taken away from the realness of it.
Yeah. Well, it's just even easy to forget about it because it's such its own like fully arced storyline.
Right.
And then you could like, I don't know, you can just pick up with where you were with Joel and Ellie and just like keep going on with them. And
Yep.
the story was what it was, and it was great.
It was
Right.
it just felt like the whole time it felt like, we were in the world with Joel and Ellie. Then we paused, told the entire story, then unpaused Joel and Ellie. And it was like, Joel didn't really, I know he was in the story, but he wasn't like in the story. Like
Yeah, it wasn't his story.
It felt like,
Right.
it felt like it was suspended in reality in those moments from the last time we saw Joel to the next time we saw Joel.
Right.
And it was like that, the whole story happened in that instant. Not in reality. It was, all these years, 20 years or whatever.
Well, but then it also helps us again recontextualize who Joel is and what his role is moving forward. So there's a lot of merits to this.
So they had the again, like you said, old people love is adorable.
It's just adorable.
I think you said it more elegantly, but I said
Yeah.
yeah. So then they're talking about, and I like the reference before with the strawberries that Bill said, "I'm sorry that I'm aging more than you are, faster and everything."
Yep. Yeah.
Then we jump to, do you know what the disease was that Frank had?
They didn't specify really, but
it wasn't specified. It was either ALS or MS or some kind of form of that disease.
His paintings were gorgeous, even
very,
with his,
very gorgeous, very abstract.
Yeah.
I really liked the half full face and then everything kind of trailing off.
Right. Well, it just like explains so much of what just happened to him.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting.
Well, and just, put yourself in Frank's shoes, and it's horrifying to feel how useless you are. You can't even open a little baggie by yourself. Like, you can barely take a sip. Like, absolutely would not want to, be there.
I'm just sorry. That is like one of my biggest, like.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because
I will cry
Matt, I'm trying.
If I'm stuck in a wheelchair and not be able to move, I don't know.
Dude, bro, I am 100% trying not to say every thought. I have that exact thing. Is that legit one of my biggest fears is that kind of, that or Alzheimer's. Like, I legitimately one of my
Alzheimer's, I could at least, like, I won't even know.
I guess, yeah.
You'll have moments of fear, a lot of moments of fear, but like,
well, you'll just like wind up somewhere and you'll just be sitting here and you'll be like, wait, where the fuck am I?
Okay, we don't need to have a discussion about what we're terrified of old stuff. This is gonna go forever.
It's absolutely.
We're all afraid of getting old.
Autonomy is nice.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very believable where Frank's like, you know what, I'm done. I checked out. Hey, waiter, check please. Kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was not ready for. I didn't think Bill was going to also kill himself.
Really?
Until he told me, then I knew it. but it makes sense. Totally makes sense. I'm not saying it was like out of place or anything.
Jeff, what was it that Matt knew? An allusion to when Frank. Never mind. Go on. Sorry.
See, this is the stuff I cut.
As it should be.
But yeah, I did not know he was gonna kill himself. It totally makes sense. Like we said before, where it's like Bill was living on his own, and then he picked up really a true purpose. Like, he thought he was happy. He thought he knew what was gonna happen, and this is what he wanted, to be alone. All these people gone. Like he said, I hated all of them.
Right.
I'm glad they're all gone.
Yeah,
but
you might be able to survive, but what are you surviving for, right? What are you actually living for besides, hey, I'm here, right? It's so much better when you can make an impact and say, I felt loved by somebody else.
Yeah, well, they both even said it at different times where they were just like, I've lived my life, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
And then and then Bill said the same thing. And it's like I didn't see it coming, but I wasn't surprised either.
But it's so sad because you see that Bill is going to fight claw, tooth and nail, the most implausible situation. What if a doctor comes by? What if?
I know, right? Let's go find a doctor. Like, dude. Which,
it's so hard. That to me, I think, is one of the more heartbreaking parts.
He's
of this
very
episode.
practical the whole time until then. He's faced with this.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I will cling
fear.
on to any hope I can find because I can't. I will not let you go.
I like the small details of like. So then they do that, and then they go to the bedroom, and people age, they don't. Their bedroom's no longer upstairs.
Yes.
So I like that their bedroom was on the first floor, and I was very happy because I was like, he was wheeling him. I was like, as they go up the stairs, I'm gonna flip out. Bill's like dragging Frank around. I'm like, Bill's pretty old also.
Yeah.
He's like 106 or something.
Press X to drag Frank up the stairs.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see the electric, dragging him up.
But how much gasoline did that
resources?
Thank you, Jeff. You're getting in now, Jeff. Okay.
They had a conversation about, we could just get
a line, damn
it. Why don't we just do a rope? You can pull me up by my leg. It'll be perfectly fine.
Speaking on the small details, though, I like the last final meal scene was really done really well.
Meal that they had?
Same meal, and he's turned the plate the same way, same wine, same pour.
I like they showed when they're doing I want you to do all of the things that I love. They showed the hole that Frank fell into, that when they met and everything. It was, you could take this is one of the things where I love this episode. And when we get to the very end, we'll talk about and we'll pick like our favorite individual episodes and everything. But this one, you could take this love story, pull it out of Last of Us, plop this shit anywhere. And it
could have been a movie and it would have been great.
Yes,
absolutely.
45-minute gorgeous love story explaining people who aren't necessarily looking for love and just kind of survive. And then they find what perfectly works for them. And just in this horrible darkness, they found, and it was the light. And I just thought it was fucking
absolutely
gorgeous.
And small details. Did you see originally, right? In the very first meal that he made, they're sitting on opposite sides of the table, and now they're right next to each other.
In the corner.
Like, again, little things like that.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that you could kill your significant other if they asked you to? I don't know.
I have no idea. I like that you and I looked at each other. Like, I have no idea. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but
if I'm spending, I don't know. I hear. It's a good question. And it's a very good, like,
I know
deep conversation stuff.
Unfortunately, the answer to everything is it depends.
Like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like,
that's hard.
At this moment, I probably could because I got no significant other. I don't know, man. There's nobody. So it's like, this person means nothing to me. But if I don't know.
I can't even answer. It's just, it's so circumstantial.
All right. So then we jump. I don't know how, like, we have like a horizontal jump because I can't tell exactly if it was too far ahead. You think it was like 6 months or so from when Bill and Frank killed themselves to when Ellie and Joel show up. But yeah, so they walk up. They feel sketchy already. They walk in. But again, this felt like, back to the video game, really, is like you and the main character are walking up into a situation that whole thing happened. You're not really sure. You're investigating.
You're kind of putting pieces together. You don't get the whole story, and you can kind of
Well,
fill
you
in the
literally get it
blanks.
in the form of a note, which happens in the games like that.
Like, that's what I heard. Yeah, mostly it's like you hear about Frank, I feel like, through notes and letters, right?
Yep.
So then I felt like a good homage. And again, who find it? Ellie, the player. The player, basically.
Yeah.
She finds the gun. She finds the letter. She finds the tampons. She finds like everything, I feel like. She's the one that's like, ooh, let me open drawer A. Let me, investigate all this stuff. But so she finds it. I liked her little quip. I thought I was included in whoever or whatever it was for whomever or Joel, assuming.
Yes. But most likely Joel.
It was a great letter.
And I love that we lingered on Joel more than we saw Ellie read it. Like we saw him and the weight that those words carried before it was even to protect Tess. Like you saw just him kind of, I don't know. I feel like he
does see himself in Bill, and it was like
absolutely, and him
like,
just kind of like, oh my God, like lose himself a little bit of what the fuck am I doing over here? I'm such a failure. And then then we get to the for Tess. Keep Tess alive and literally has to remove himself from the situation.
And I would personally say that this is when Joel truly changed and truly bought into Ellie. This is when he finally believed her, when he finally decided this is going to happen. I'm going to protect this girl and I'm going to get her there. At whatever cost it takes, because this is when he finally, again, after the umpteenth time, clearly she's not going to turn, but went, I want to see your arm again.
Yep.
This was the final, like, it's still good. I finally believe you.
This is
truly
some
believe
kind
you.
of proof.
And now I've decided, all right, we're actually going to do this. Now here are the rules. Because everything up until that, I know what they said, where it's like his life changed when he saw her.
Sure.
But I don't think so. I think it changed at that point. And that is when he is going,
made the conscious effort.
No matter what happens, I'm going to protect her. Not just get to my brother. I'm going to protect her.
I agree to that to an extent. I think he goes in more than just 2 tiers of this journey. Like, I think the first tier is when Tess tells him like he needs to finish this, and then she dies. That's the first tier of him being like, well, I'm kind of stuck in this situation now. Well, this one is another tier of being like, it's like, I get it. And he's like getting drawn more into it. I still think he has reluctancies about it.
So
but he's more accepting of it.
I do agree with you, but I think the 2 tiers are more of like, when Tess did it, it was, I'm going to deliver this girl to these people, period. When this letter happened, it was, I'm going to protect this child with my life. I guess, I'm supposed to go out there and deliver her because that was our whole thing with Tess, but it might be beyond that. Well, it's like it's past that delivering this girl.
Exactly.
It is, I will protect this quote unquote my child, basically.
But you jumping way forward, I think you're absolutely right, Matt. What is stop saying that because you always fuck me up. But I absolutely agree with you that everything changes right here, and I am going to protect her at all costs, 100%, no matter what, because I have failed at protecting people, and apparently this is my purpose. Somebody else now told me that this is my purpose.
Well, this man died happy because he was able to do it.
Because exactly, he was able to have that love.
He's the man I couldn't be.
Oh, great way to fucking kill Joel inside. Absolutely. I didn't even think about that. 100%. And that feeds into way down the road. Well, why protect save who you can save, right? You know, you could save a whole, we talked in the last chapter of, save who you can save. And well, you could have saved a whole lot more people by, not killing, hundreds of, or, dozens of people, because he will protect this child no matter what.
That's why I don't think yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And we can definitely dive more into that.
I still think that specific moment that you guys are putting all that in detail into is still later. I think this is the moment where he's like accepting it more, but he's like, even right after he accepts that he's going to take on this journey and taking her and protecting her, he's just like, all right, here's the ground rules if we're going to do this.
I'll give you,
like, he's still reluctant.
I'll
but
give you, it's another, instead of this is the final step, it's another big step.
I think it's more this step. Yes. I think that happens later.
Because I don't think after the kid dies, or when the people in episode 5, I think that's going to be another big step too.
Agreed. And
absolutely. But I think that bond hasn't happened yet, which is what you're talking about. I think this just sets up, it doesn't matter if this is, a child, if this is a teenager, if this is a man, woman. I am here to protect you. I have failed multiple times. My only goal in life is to make sure that you don't die. I cannot do this again because I'm so. I have to.
I think a little bit more of that's going to be in episode 5. But I mean, again,
I think it's like that moment that you guys are describing so intensely that he's like, "You're more important than me." I think that's after he finds her from the crazy.
Cannibals.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you are correct that it's steps and not necessarily matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's happened, period. Nothing's ever going to change. But we all agree that it's one gigantic step.
It is a gigantic step. Yes.
From what Tess
keeps
said,
getting pushed forward.
Pushed forward, and it's the next step. So then they read the letter. They then search everything, grab as much as they can. I would like to point out I personally, in this world, love showers, and I can't imagine how nice a warm shower would be in that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
Not taking one for however long. Oh
yeah.
I would never. I'd
just let alone warm. Like I would have taken just a cold shower.
Yeah. Well, but I'm picturing a steamy shower. I'm in there for 6 hours. At some point, Joel's like, "We have to fucking go." I'm like, "No, leave me alone. I want to die.
I live here now."
I'm gonna drag them out of their room so I can sleep in there. What? Go ahead.
Well, so now I agree with you if you've lived with hot showers and then they got taken away from you.
No,
as someone like
you
Ellie,
don't even know what it is.
Exactly, you don't even know what it is. So do you think
first time
it's
you
that
eat steak? I didn't even know this was a thing. This is the greatest thing I've ever.
Gotcha.
Well, we're also just assuming she doesn't get any of that at the Fedra.
Yes, no, exactly.
Place,
That's what I mean. Like,
frankly, I don't think the children do. I think Fedra is very much like
absolutely.
Go take your cold ass shower. Shut up.
Or they don't even get showers. So is it is hygiene really a thing? And do you think it matters as much to Ellie as it would to Joel? But yeah, the steak analogy is good enough for me to contextualize that. Yeah, that first time you experience something so right, literally kind of life changing. Of oh my God, I can smell nice and.
yeah
deodorant,
feel good, right? Because I mean showers are also a way to decompress and kind of ground yourself, and not just for posterity's sake, is also very cathartic for your own.
Yep.
She did seem to know what deodorant was.
Yes.
Of course, she knows what a spaceship is. She knows what deodorant is. If she doesn't know what a deodorant is,
but seatbelts, forget about it.
Yes, exactly, right? Exactly. But so yeah, they grab as much. They have another little quibble about I want more. I want a gun. He's like, no,
I told you fucking no.
Yeah, I told my child no. Stop it.
I would have had a hard time not grabbing a gun there too.
100%. That's ridiculous. That's definitely more character-wise and stuff. In reality, I'm like, load as many. I grab the handguns and as many bullets as I can physically. My backpack would be ching, 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 like shingling everywhere I went.
Absolutely. 100,000%. What are you talking about?
50 pounds of bullets.
Yeah.
Those are, yeah. And, I mean, think about it. If you're not going to use them, those are very, very high in demand, and you could definitely get a good meal or something for
I don't know how many people he's
bullets.
really like going out of his way to interact with and trade with and stuff.
True, but so when does that happen? When does that shift happen?
Knowing
because
Joel,
he seemed like he was open
I just
to
don't
the
think
idea.
he trusts. I don't think he wants to randomly trade with people. I think the whole thing was test like develop
set
the
it
whole
all
thing.
up.
Yeah.
And, okay,
Yeah. What I was going to say
showed
is
him
knowing
the
Joel,
benefit.
that would be his new stash area. Instead of the board like going under the ground,
yes.
it's just the entire city.
Well,
Yes.
I just have to remember the passcode.
I'm willing to bet that someone's going to take that over really damn quick.
It depends. Like the code still was working, and like the fence,
The electric fence was
potentially
still
still
on,
alive.
right?
Well, I mean, I personally think it
Just
wasn't
depends
that
how much
long
gasoline
after.
they
I think
had.
it wasn't that long after. Oh, they definitely ran out of gasoline.
Well, so there was
he left the light on and said, no.
there was enough time for
inefficient.
not a thin layer, but a pretty thick layer of dust to kind of go over everything. However,
In the house or
in the house on the table, but the meat was not super rotten, and there was only like one or two flies around it. So maybe there's just more dust in this world. I don't know.
We all know post-apocalypse, very dusty. Very dusty. And he opened
Cordyceps just emit a lot of dust.
They carry around dust.
Not
They
spores,
create dust. He
dust.
left the window open. Gross.
So
then
are you saying that the steaks survived 6 months better than the human bodies did?
Well, yeah, they absolutely did. There's some that are decomposing for a very short time that should have
yeah, but the steak is
should not look that decomposed.
There must have
it's
been a lot
already,
of preservatives.
it's already dead cow. Anyway, so they find the car, which ultimately this is a pretty convenient way in just story wise of we are desperately looking for a vehicle, desperately looking for a car. But, oh, hey, we have a whole. This is so perfect.
And see, that's why the game thing structure is interesting, because there is an entire like basically chapter dedicated to how you eventually get a working car.
I don't know why they didn't just from the get go. Let's just go trade Bill and Frank with Bill and Frank and get a car from them.
Or it's really far, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. My bad. So then they,
I mean that is a point, but
we get in the car and we get some more Ellie. Not knowing a seatbelt. It was adorable. This is like a spaceship, whatever. But it was very much cute of their banter, and then they take off in the car. And like I said before, just to reiterate, is like it definitely had a different feel from the last time they kind of was like, okay, now the adventure starts again.
True.
It went from a very, pessimistic, horrible, this ain't gonna start, and then to now they're singing. Right. It's bright instead of dark, and it is a whole different tone change.
Absolutely. And the tone changes because of what we just saw, because of the impact that two seemingly random, characters from out of nowhere had, the impact that they had on our main characters.
It was a beautiful episode, and I do think it was pretty perfectly placed in the whole story episodes.
Yep. And then the Linda Ronstadt song again. That the song meaning kind of changes a little bit. Between the 3 or 4 times we hear it. Now this last time is okay, right? Like I believe that this is right. We could. See them loving each other for a long time. And then
the last shot of the episode is it's another pullback, just like the previous one, except for this time it is from inside of their bedroom, seeing the car as the truck goes away. It is pulls back to Bill and Frank, which I assume just to give us a little bit of a this is who we just spent with, and this changed the whole life of these guys.
And also the little detail that in the note he said they left the window open to deter the smell. The window's open.
Yes,
it's implied that that's the room.
It is, yes.
Great final shot.
There's another layer to that as well, actually, that I found out that I thought was really interesting. I'd like to share with you guys. It's a nod to a different idea, because in the origin of setting this up, the idea was to have every episode open with a window, and outside the window would be a different something happening, some kind of scene, some kind of circumstance reflecting from what the episode has. And they were, instead of having skip intro, they were going to have a press play button that essentially, launched you into it, kind of like the game does.
Yep.
I would have absolutely loved if they did play instead of skip intro.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%.
That would have been fantastic.
And that's like the video game is structured that way. too, because it's usually a window, I think, on the like screen where you start to play too.
I believe it is. I believe it is.
Yeah.
But that final shot, it gives us a sense of happiness because Bill and Frank are at peace, and it kind of leaves us with this lingering sense of, again, no matter how dark it is, there is light to be found if you look for it, and I love this recurring theme, this recurring motif of it.
So anything else?
One thing that I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned, because I noticed, Joel was piling rocks together. What did you call it?
Cairn.
A cairn?
Cairn.
So, because my question was, when did that become like a way to signify or a symbol of saying goodbye to somebody? You thought it was more of a. That's what I thought it was.
I've always known is when you're out in trails to show the hiker you're on the correct trail. You stack them on the path so you can continue on and you don't get lost.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Oh, so you're not talking about stacks of rocks. You're talking about like the trail of
No. The stacks of rocks. They're just supposed to be like, obviously not like one next to the other. They're supposed to be like, you head in this direction. And when you get to like kind of a point where you could deviate, you do another stack to be like, okay, I see the trail goes over this way to stay on, to keep on.
And the other reason why I don't know if that is in this particular case,
it might be a different
so far away from the main trail. He's right by the river and doing it. It felt like a goodbye to me. It felt
might
like
be
some
a new
kind
trail he's making also.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know.
Some kind of reminder.
Because I was really thinking, I'm like, I would not be on a lot of established trails, I feel like.
True. Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah, those are the first things to go.
So is there a different meaning now?
No, that.
Oh, so
no,
you
that
just
was
thought. Okay.
So that was what I took from it. You said something about it, and I was just really curious about what that meant to you versus if I was trying to force something in, a symbol in, where it wasn't necessarily.
Yeah.
A mound. Wait. Right.
That's right. I'm remembering the scene now. It's
I can see that. I understand what you're saying. A mound of rough stones built as a memorial or landmark, typically on a hilltop or skyline. I've only ever a small dog.
Interesting.
Because I took it the same way as you, like kind of like,
or as a burial mound.
Yeah.
Because it's usually as a marker or a burial mound.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've only ever heard it.
So you've heard it as the trailhead marker.
Well, not trailhead, but
or trail marker.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
But that
I guess it does.
I've just heard
essentially
it's destructive to ecosystems.
Very true. Very true. Very true. He did pull out a rock from the river, which obviously had
I would assume
a bunch of microbes on it.
I would assume they started talking about that because every person with a photo camera went out to the forest and was like, this is so cool. And then there would be 50 of them.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Blair Witch Project, just like, God fucking damn it. The last thing I wanted to mention is, did you guys notice in that from the very first scene that shot where he's at the river and building the cairn, how blue it is? Like the tone is so cool, is so somber, right? And then you have that what I thought was the symbol to saying goodbye, and then immediately when we start when we see Ellie, it's bright orange, sunny, cheerful. Again, just this whole other like interesting layer that I thought was really cool.
Yeah, no, it was just like it was almost like a very early morning right before the sun rises when he's doing this thing by himself, and kind of like taking his moment after Tess dies, and then he goes back to the camp where Ellie and him were.
I can 100% see that, and I just didn't know it as a symbol of a memorial or burial.
Gotcha.
So I can totally see that.
A lot of funeral scenes in movies are usually that cooler color, which is interesting.
Yeah, something I noticed the second time, not the first time. So overall, this was a just incredibly emotional, very, very character-driven, enjoyable story, enjoyable episode that is only sad in my mind because there's only one of them. But also, again, if there was more, I think it would cheapen the impact of this one particular standalone.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys good?
I mean, I'm emotionally drained.
That is very, very true.
But
I definitely, when I was watching it, I did not cry, but I was definitely very tearful when their last scene and reading the letter. Still, I was very insanely emotional because it was a fantastic up near like up level, like the love story at the beginning and whatnot.
Yeah,
you could literally just rip that out and place that anywhere, and it is gorgeous. Okay, that is it for episode 3.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, episode 3. The next one will be chapter 2. I believe, unless I'm wrong, we're going to do 4 and 5 together. Just because I think that is a very big story arc.
Next one will be chapter 3. You said chapter 2 again.
Chapter 3, part 9, chapter Q, episode
Alpha
8 divided by 2.
Don't forget to carry the 1.
Square root of 25. Thank you guys so much for joining. You guys say goodbye because the music's playing.
Bye.
That was adorable.